Hi, beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to get a little vulnerable and we're going to talk about herpes. Yes, we're going to do it. I've been avoiding it for too long. It's time we come on here and talk about this. I do have a bit of anxiety filming this. I think a part of it is just talking about my story and going through what I've been through with getting herpes at such a young age. I was 17 years old when I got herpes. It was from my first partner. At the time, I was only with one person, first kiss, first everything. And a couple months later, I went to the doctor and found out I had herpes. So let me go back a little bit so you know kind of the timeline. So, about a couple months after I lost my virginity, I went to the doctor and I told her, yes, I'm sexually active. So she was like, all right, let me give you a pap smear. And I was 17 at the time. Now I'm 22 years old, and every time I go to the doctor, they're always like, I cannot believe you got a pap at 17. Like, it's always like this big, crazy thing to nurses and staff, and I always hear all of them out my room talking about it. So, just an FYI, maybe don't talk about patient experiences in their chart right outside their room. Just heads up. Anyway, so when I got my first pap, it actually triggered my first outbreak. So a couple weeks later, I went to the doctor and found out I was in a herpes outbreak. Now, everybody will tell you that the first outbreak is one of the worst, and some people never get another outbreak after that. So for my first outbreak, I remember I was a cheerleader. Well, I was a cheerleader in high school. So at the time, I remember we were having games every week, and I really could not wear tight clothes. Whenever you're in an outbreak, you don't want to wear any tight clothes, and I literally couldn't. It burned so bad when I tried to use the bathroom. I literally felt so sick and just I can't even fully put into words all the experiences I was experiencing at the time, but I would say the mental toll it took on me was almost worse than the physical toll I was going through. I found out whenever I was going through my first outbreak from the doctor that it's best to try to go to the bathroom in the shower. And that did help me get through the outbreak because at the time I was like, I don't know how I'm going to survive this. I don't know how I'm ever going to get past this. And honestly, it's a very mental game. Having herpes, it's a mental toll that it takes on you. And it definitely took one on me. I am now 5 years in. I've had herpes since the first person I was with, so that means all my sexual experiences meant disclosing my status. So I know a lot of people ask about like how do you do that? So for me, whenever I was going to see someone else or like I was talking to someone that I felt comfortable with taking that step with, I would disclose my status. Now, right whenever I got out of the situationship I was in, I was going through a path that wasn't the best for healing because it was kind of the opposite of healing. And at that time, I was disclosing my status up front, like the first day, because I didn't know what to do. It was a wing it situation, as most things are in life when things come at you with challenges. But with herpes, it's such a stigma around it. I'm slowing down my words because I can feel myself wanting to rush through this because it's not a fun topic. And there's a big stigma around it. Whenever I found out I had herpes, the viral posts I was reading were not okay. And they were very, very detrimental to someone who just found out they had herpes. I mean, I'm reading posts that people are saying you're worthless if you have this, you deserve nothing, all these things. I don't even want to go into all the ones I read because I don't know if it'll get flagged because they were not okay. And that's something you have to learn with this is that some people are going to accept you for it and some people are not. And that's just going to be what it is. So whenever I were wanting to tell someone, for the first couple months, I definitely mostly only did it through text. I was too afraid to do it in person But eventually you just kind of, I'm not going to say for everybody, eventually for me, I just started to fully just embrace what it's like living with herpes. And that means just being who I am unapologetically. If someone's talking shit about herpes, or I remember one time when I was working at a factory, someone was saying something about having an STD. And at that point, I had been there for a long time. And I was like, I have herpes. Like, y'all are always saying all these things about people. But when someone looks you in your face and tells you, hey, I have an STD, hey, I have herpes, all of a sudden the energy changes. All of a sudden, oh my God, you're so brave. Oh my God, that's so attractive that you embody what you have and you're so honest. Yes, those are real reactions. Like, people will make it seem like more of the reactions are going to be like hateful and rude and mean. Now, don't get me wrong, I've had my own experiences with that. But on the other side of that, I've had so much more positive reactions to when I open up with someone about my status. So I had a couple questions written down, but I kind of answered them all in different ways. But I just wanted to start the conversation. Like, there's so many more stories into my experience with herpes, but I just wanted to start the conversation because I'm very upfront about it in person, but I tiptoe around it on social media. Honestly, just because I haven't been fully ready to come up front and just say it. And it's not even because of the backlash that could come. It's more so having to sit here and talk about it because it's very difficult to sit here and talk about your experiences. And it is very difficult to own all that you are and all that you've been through. But at the end of the day, if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you. You have to accept who you are and what you've been through because it's not going to affect anyone else but yourself. It's only going to make you more miserable in your own misery. I did want to also talk about kind of how I'm managing it now. Now, I will say, just as I was about to record this video, I actually had a realization, and that realization is my spiritual awakening. It didn't fully start whenever I had been diagnosed with herpes, but it had a very big part to play in it because when it comes to herpes, you have to be very, very, very aware. You have to be very intentional about what you consume, what you put in your body, what you deal with in reality, because everything can make you have an outbreak. It's literally wild. Stress, a certain medication, if you have like a BV diagnosis, or if you're with a new partner and you guys aren't using protection and your stream is just not used to that, the foods you eat, the stress you intake, like everything affects it. And it is a very difficult thing to manage. Now, I'm not saying that to scare anyone. I'm more saying that just to be real because there's many times when I thought I just had it together. And then, oh, she back. She reminded me I still got herpes and she didn't go nowhere. Just like right now. Right now, I'm currently in an outbreak. So, love that. For Thanksgiving, I definitely overindulged in starchy foods and like foods I don't normally eat. And that always triggers an outbreak. And on top of that, I was having stress. I was very stressed. My car broke down. I don't know what I'm gonna do about a car. And just the outer world of life can stress you out. And this was just a reminder that I have to slow down and I have to be intentional and I have to continue to do what I'm doing, no matter if it's a holiday or if it's someone new coming over, or, no matter what's going on in life, I need to stay grounded in who I am. And my body wants me to eat a certain way, and I have to respect that because this is the only body I'm going to get on this earth. And I don't want to be in miserable pain by disrespecting my body and not listening to what she wants and needs. And this is still something I'm navigating. It's a day to day thing. One day you could be feeling so wonderful, the next day you got a bump. Like, you never know. So I hope this wasn't like hard to follow along. I just wanted to literally start the conversation for myself because I know this is a topic I want to talk about on my channel and more upfrontly, because in all honesty, social media can be such a wonderful place if we allow it to be. Whenever you are in your authenticity, it can attract other people who are on that exact same vibration, and it can also attract the people who are meant to see you. And I know that for me, what helped me get through my diagnosis was talking to other people with the same diagnosis. And a lot of that came through social media because a lot of people don't want to own their status with a face. And there's no issue with that. Everyone has the right to everyone deserves the right to choose if they want to be upfront about it with everybody. Like I'm not meaning that as like sexual partners. You need to be upfront with sexual partners, but like everyone deserves to have their business to themselves and no one should spread it for them. I hold so many people's vulnerable stories in my hearts that I would never share because I remember being 17 years old, so afraid someone was going to go share my status without me fully being able to wrap my head around it. And I remember that being threatened a couple times. And at the time, I couldn't own what I've been through and what I was going through. But now, I don't care what anybody has to say. If you know what it's like to live with herpes, you would be sitting here like, how did you get through that? Because it's not something that's simple. It's not something that's easy. It's a mental battle. It's a physical battle. And in all honesty, it really makes you question your worth. It makes you feel like, I remember when I got diagnosed, I was sitting there like so depressed and it made me very, very much in a dark cloud. And I didn't feel like I could tell anyone. I remember I had only told my best friend at the time. And eventually I had to be upfront with my mom because I needed her to get me off of cheer for a little bit because I couldn't put that uniform on. It's a lot of things that have to do with learning about developing herpes and navigating that in the real world. It can feel like a lonely process whenever people around you are looking at you with a side eye because of it, or when you feel like you have to hide or behind the mask of keeping that secret to yourself. That's a big burden and that's a very big stressful thing to have. And I just wanted to come on here and be real because in all reality, that's what we need more of in this life. And that's the only way we're going to help each other through in a tolerable way with how life goes. And know that you're so fucking worthy. It doesn't matter your status. It doesn't matter what illness or anything you struggle with. Your worth doesn't shift because of that. You are worthy because you're just you. Just by being, you are worthy. And you deserve to be loved and you deserve to be accepted for all of who you are. I'm saying that for you and for myself because every outbreak makes you question it. Every single one. And I'm not going to act like it's just 5 years later and it's just so easy. You have to intentionally choose yourself every single day. And some days you don't. And then you learn from it. So I do have some plans on how I'm going to work on managing herpes even better than I have been. And I'm going to continue to show up and be honest about my experiences. And I hope that anyone who feels connected to share can do the same. Or if you just feel connected and feel heard and seen right now, I'm so grateful this video found you. I know there's so many people that hide in this pain alone, and you don't deserve to be in it alone. I know what it's like, and I almost drowned from my demons because of it. Please don't feel like you have to drown all alone in this, because there's so many people out there who are going through the exact same thing that you are, and I'm one of them. And yes, I feel emotional. So I'll talk to you guys later. I hope that this just was everything you needed to hear and see today to know that you just got to keep moving forward, one step at a time. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next video. Happy Vlogmas Day 7.